Students, families, counselors, thank you so much for joining the CACRAO Virtual College Exploration Program. A few housekeeping items before we begin with today's presentation. First, you are encouraged to ask questions via the panelists with the Q&A button that you see on your screen. When you submit a question, it gets sent to all of our panelists and they'll work to answer the question during the session and at the conclusion of the session. As a reminder, your camera and your microphone are turned off so the panelists cannot see or hear you. So if you have any questions, type them in through that Q&A button. This is one of about 300 programs that are happening through this CACRAO Virtual College Exploration Program for all North and South Carolina students. We encourage you to go to CACRAO.org and sign up for additional sessions and find the recordings, which will be posted about a week after each session. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our panelists.
All right. Thank you, Zach. Much appreciated. So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the University of North Carolina School of the Arts information session. My name is Natalie Parker, and I am one of the admissions counselors here, and specifically the School of Music liaison. I am also an alumni of the school as a high school alum and a college alum, and also a North Carolina resident. So handful of opportunities to kind of chat with you today. And I'm going to let the rest of my colleagues introduce themselves.
I am Rachel Garrett. I am the admissions counselor for the School of Filmmaking. I am from Detroit, Michigan, by way of Oakland, California. Just a little something about me. I've also have a degree in piano performance. So along with that, I'm also a screenwriter. So I do a little bit of everything and pass it on to Bill.
I'm Bill Poole. I'm the liaison for the School of Drama, and I've been here since the summer of '01. I love this place and love to talking about it. So I'm also a North Carolina native and a freelance drummer and percussionist.
Hi, I'm Monique Notke. I'm the admissions liaison to the School of Design and Production. I have a master's in theater, in acting. I've worked as a stage manager in New York City, and I love being a part of academia, and specifically launching emerging artists like you.
All right, so thank you. We're gonna get started with a short video, essentially giving you a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be at UNCSA. There we go. All right. So in case you haven't met us before, University of North Carolina School of the Arts, or UNCSA, is a public professional arts conservatory focusing on the performing and theatrical production arts, including dance, drama, music, design and production, and filmmaking. Our students are focused on and driven by their artistic passions, looking to hone their skills in a singular art form amongst like-minded artists in and outside of their fields that they can collaborate with and to bring their visions to life. Our student artists are able to do this in a pre-professional environment at UNCSA because we provide them with some of the same sets of tools and experiences that they can expect in the real world, guided by artist faculty that have been and still are very active in their fields. UNCSA is located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the city for arts and innovation. There's lots to be involved in on and off campus to build a professional arts portfolio and resume, but without some of the stressors of being in a big city like New York and LA, and with some of the comforts of being closer to home, including in-state tuition for our North Carolina residents. As I mentioned earlier, our university is made up of 5 different schools, or as we call them, conservatories. Here are a few accolades and program highlights for each one. For the School of Dance, it is ranked #1 for the School for Dance Choreography in the nation, and is an exclusive educational affiliate of the American Ballet Theatre.
The School of Design and Production is included in the top 10 production design programs in the world. And in the top 3 for theater design tech programs in the country.
We're in the top 5 for undergrad theater programs. You can see some of the cool costumes and right there. And our next slide mentions that we're in number 9 with the schools with most alums on Broadway. And that's our famous alum, Isaac Powell, on the stage in New York for West Side Story.
For the School of Filmmaking, we are top 10 according to Hollywood Reporter. And also with the film music composition, we are top 25.
Our School of Music does over 150 public performances each year and has a renowned guest conductor series for our large and small ensembles. So our application actually starts with some of what we at UNCSA consider the most important and distinguishing questions. What degree level are you interested in applying for? Pretty much a given, but also what arts area or conservatory program are you interested in, and what specific concentration or focus in that art are you planning to study? So in order to kind of help you with that, we want to give you the degree programs and majors for each one of those conservatories.
For the School of Dance, we have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in either concentration of ballet or contemporary. Ballet is a more regimented and classical style of dance and places more emphasis on a dancer's proper technique, feet placement, their overall facility, their body. All female ballet majors are expected to be proficient in point work and will take technique classes daily. Contemporary dance combines elements of several dance genres, including modern, jazz, lyrical, classical ballet as well. Contemporary dancers take a combination of technique and choreography classes. Point is not required, but contemporary majors who are experienced in point do have the option of taking point class as well. All dancers will take courses in both contemporary and ballet to ensure their well-roundedness and to compete with the demands of the dance industry. Other types of classes also include dance repertory, partnering, mime, choreography, composition, men's classes, and improv. And I'll talk about School of Drama. We have 2 concentrations, either acting, which is always the more popular, but we do have a few students who want to major in directing. Major components in the School of Drama are a very comprehensive curriculum, including acting, movement, voice, and speech. And I say comprehensive because there are a multitude of classes in each of these areas taught by 18 drama faculty. So there are dance classes and singing classes, but they are taught by drama teachers. During the last 2 years of the BFA program, the students are cast by the faculty for a variety of roles in a wide range of productions, from classical plays such as Shakespeare and others, as well as a lot of contemporary productions and musicals. The college students at Studio 4, which are the seniors, produce and perform a senior showcase in the springtime for casting agents and directors in 4 cities: New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Atlanta, which will always assist the students in networking, making a smoother transition into the industry after graduation. Example of a couple of classes I want to quickly mention. Camera technique courses are coupled with the availability to be cast in movies produced by our students in the School of Filmmaking. Greatly enhances the possibilities of getting work for TV and film after graduation. The other course is devised theater, which assists our students in creating a production without a published script. So they are highly involved in the development of all facets of that production.
UNCSA is the only university in the country to have a standalone school in design and production. Usually design and technology programs are housed within a general theater program at other universities, but DMP's standalone status results in learning outcomes that are equally weighted alongside the learning outcomes of all the other students enrolled at the other 4 schools here at UNCSA. It also means that your curriculum is being taught over 4 years, which allows you to go deeper and broader into your art. It also means that there's time for production hours. So what you learn in the classroom, you're able then to use in studios or in the shops and apply it and see how it works for you. All concentrations in DMP, and you see those listed there, they'll have elements of design, technology, or leadership as part of their curriculum. But depending upon what you major in, you'll go more deeply into one of those 3 buckets. So an example of that, say for a costume designer, is that of course you'll take a lot of costume design courses, but you could also, in the beginning of your time being enrolled at UNCSA, be a stitcher for a show, then move up to be a shop manager in charge of the rest of the crew in the shop, then be an assistant to the designer, and then ultimately be the designer for the main stage show. So you'll move through all those different positions and management levels. Because UNCSA is an arts ecosystem, that means that every time you look at our website and look at one of those photos of a show, you're going to be looking at an example of how students across other schools have collaborated to put on a production. When you look at that through the lens of a DMP student, you would see that the lights that are lighting the stage for the School of Dance's annual production of the Nutcracker, those have been designed and executed by DMP students. The costumes that the students are wearing in an opera by the School of Music, designed and built by students. That the special effects makeup in a student film has come through DMP students, or the sets that the play is performed on through the School of Drama was designed and built by DMP students. The faculty, in addition to teaching, they are working artists. They bring their knowledge and experience and current contacts into classrooms as guest artists and also infuse it into the curriculum. Our guest artists work with our students frequently, and then they are also becoming future professional connections. That, connected with the annual DMP job fair, results in a 98% job placement rate upon graduation for the students. And they're going to do internships during their time enrolled or upon graduation in professional venues across the country or internationally.
So, as I mentioned before, that UNCSA is ranked amongst the best film schools in the country. The filmmaking school knows that you don't want to just sit in a classroom, right? So we want to make sure that the program is very interactive with students. So in the first 2 years at UNCSA, you will direct and shoot numerous of digital projects as you take on hands-on courses in every facet of modern film production. Then you would choose a concentration, and as you can see, that is listed here. Once you get a degree here, you're getting a degree in filmmaking. Now, although you get a degree in filmmaking, you have these concentrations that you will focus on. So you would choose a concentration that would include animation, cinematography, directing, picture editing and sound design, producing, production design, and screenwriting. And you'll get a chance to collaborate with other students in those original films and submit your work to different festivals around the world. As a filmmaker and as a film student, you will be taught by the network and by industry professionals and those are our faculty, and also visiting guest artists that will come on our campus. You will learn the industry standard and protocol and practice your craft with the state-of-the-art stages and also studios and with the professional equipment.
And last but not least is the School of Music, where you would end up earning a bachelor's in music. We do have several performance degrees, and that's going to be our main focus in the School of Music, for individual instrumental studies in either brass, woodwind, string, and percussion areas, so each individual instrument underneath those areas, along with guitar, harp, organ, piano, and voice. Students receive weekly private lessons with their studio faculty member, participate in weekly studio master classes with their peers, and learn core classical musicianship skills in theory, ear training, and music history, along with performing in several types of ensembles, ranging from solo and small chamber ensembles to large orchestras and fully staged operas. Our composition program is going to be different in that it is solely focused on providing training in the craft and art of music composition, with special emphasis on form, harmony, counterpoint, scoring, technology, innovation, and genre crossing. So exciting things there. Just to kind of briefly review and keep things in mind, we're going to go over our minimum GPA requirements, which pretty much fall in line with the UNC system requirements, as we are part of the UNC school system. We are looking for at least a minimum GPA of a 2.5 or higher, with our average GPA of an entering undergraduate student at a 3.5. Notice this is not for film. We'll cover that in a second. And we do have some test score requirements. However, this year we are waiving the SAT and ACT test score requirement for applicants who are unable to take the test due to the impact of COVID-19. So you can see these here and definitely view them on our website, but keep in mind if you're unable to take the test, we are waiving that requirement. For the filmmaking program, you do need a minimum GPA of a 3.0 or higher. Very important, as again, we are also waiving the test score requirement for them, but if you do submit a test score, know that their minimums are a little bit higher. So keep that in mind. May have heard that we do have a high school program, so just really quickly going through the different areas and grade levels that are available to high school students effectively coming to us for the rest of your high school diploma. The School of Dance offers ballet for grades 9 through 12, or contemporary for grades 10 through 12. Design and production specifically has a visual arts program that is open to grades 11 and 12. Drama is exclusively a senior year program, just that 12th grade for acting. And then music is open up to instrumental and composition areas for grades 9 through 12, and then voice is exclusively 11th and 12th grade. Once you've decided on a program and started an application, a specific admissions counselor will be able to start working with you more fully to help you through the admissions process. If you haven't noticed already, each arts conservatory has a designated admissions counselor that serves as a liaison to that conservatory. This allows each counselor to be well-versed in the specific application and audition or portfolio requirements for their conservatory, so use their knowledge to your advantage. Our admission decisions are predominantly coming from our program faculty committees rather than from the counselors, so know that we will work with you however we can to put your best foot forward prior to an audition or an interview. Our application process starts in the fall for all students and conservatory programs. We do have auditions and interviews because they are required for admission, and most of those for this year will happen either through recordings, live virtual auditions, or a mix of the two. Most of the programs prefer to hear and see most, if not all, of the auditions and interviews before making admission decisions. Our first application deadline for most of our programs is November 2nd. So very important to start getting that application in sooner rather than later. Definitely be prepared and be yourself. It's really your time to shine and show us who you are as an artist. To truly get a deeper understanding of UNCSA, either the conservatory difference or our application details, we really encourage you to visit our website where we offer a step-by-step guide to help you get to know us better through a variety of virtual sessions, meetings, and experiences, as you can see here. Here's kind of the last opportunity for some contact information for each one of our counselors. So you can contact us individually after the session. But right now we will open it up to questions.
And we have some questions coming in already. So one of the questions is, what are the classes related to graphic design, sound design, music production, and filming? You want to start with that, Rachel? That's about filming.
So for film, there's picture editing and sound design that is specifically for all of the editing that you would see when a cinematographer records it and films it, and then that is sent to a editor that is the one that is basically putting all of the things together, adding additional sound effects, things of that nature to the film. Graphic design will be more towards the animation area, which they have all of the program necessary. They also use the Maya program to, as far as like animation is concerned. Do we have the School of Filmmaking doesn't have specifically a graphic design major, but that is within animation, and like the sound designer is going to be under picture editing and sound design.
I would say sound design from the point of view of design and production school is that students aren't learning sound design from the point of like mixing an album or working in a studio. Sound design is for theater, live events, immersive experience. So think of the spooky music playing while you're waiting online to go through Universal, Harry Potter world or something. So that's what a sound designer, a DMP would be doing. Maybe creating music that underscores something, or making sure to put it through a process that if there's a live show going on and it's supposed to be raining outside, they would be finding the sound that sounds like rain is actually happening outside somewhere and playing that underneath what's happening live on stage.
Yeah, and I would mention real quick that the School of Music does not offer a music production degree area at this moment, but our students who are learning performance and especially composition are getting recording tools and learning how to use those, either more specifically for their own needs and desires to record their own works, or in this element of virtual performances, being able to have the correct setup to make sure that their sound production is getting pushed across their virtual environment most effectively. So yeah.
So Natalie, since you're already talking, I think this question's a good one for you. Somebody asked about clubs. And
okay.
So since you've been a student in high school and as an undergraduate, I think you could talk about your experience from the student point of view and what other clubs are kind of going on now.
Yeah, so we do have several clubs available. The kind of unique aspect of UNCSA's clubs is that they are very much student driven and based on the student, not experience, but the interest that is there. So one year we could have a filmmaking club for the non-filmmakers and those who are not here for their major of film, and could very easily have those kind of environments. Then we also have several clubs that are more support-based. So we have our artists of color that are really producing some really excellent different galleries and performances, making sure representation is there, as well as LGBTQ plus to be able to have that support system. So there's a huge variety there, but like I said, a lot of it is student driven. So if you have the interest to put a club together as soon as you start, then talk to our student activities office and they'll help you get started. So
there's another one too, if they're still doing it this year. They've done it for many years, called Project Love. And it was a kind of a time when any student, and not really, it never called it a talent show, but a lot of students would be doing different types of things in relation to what they're studying here, in regards to the performances of dance or drama or music, and maybe showing some film projections. And of course there was some tech activity going on to support that. And all the money at the door would give to a charity, a different charity every year. So hopefully they're still doing that. And then they always did some kind of performance to honor Martin Luther King Jr. as well every year.
Yeah, Project Love was one of those awesome ones to participate in, because that was really an opportunity to put together your own projects, as a student working with other students. I definitely played in a handful of different productions that were, just having a specific piece written for us and then being able to have a series of dancers around us, behind us, then working with some of our drama students to be able to put together a couple of pieces as kind of a medley of Broadway tunes. So, an awesome opportunity there.
I'm just going to encourage people to drop more questions in the Q&A. We have a few more questions, and we have 15 more minutes, and we can certainly linger and answer these questions in depth that we have, and probably answer them all in our 15 minutes. But if you're sitting on a question you haven't put in yet, I'd say put it in now so we can make sure to answer it and plan the rest of our time accordingly. Another question that's popped up is wondering if there's a stage makeup program. And I think that question went in before we had the concentrations up on the screen. So there was the slide that listed all the D&P concentrations, one of which was wig and makeup, and that's where stage makeup falls under that. And that's going to be stage makeup for film and for theater, live events. There's going to be beauty makeup in there. There's not like cosmetology beauty makeup, but just a general make somebody look good for the stage or the screen, but also character makeup. There'll be prosthetic work in there. There'll be wigs or facial hair pieces, learning how to build a wig from the ground up, how to fit it to somebody. So there's, if you again go to the website and search wig and makeup bulletin, that's a great place to see all the other skills that you would be learning in the wig and makeup program. Somebody asked about using a studio. They don't specify what studio, but using a studio for personal, quote unquote, personal projects. So I certainly couldn't run a business out of a studio, but we do want you to explore your craft or maybe explore some other art that you're interested in. So maybe somebody could speak a little more to what the breadth of the facilities here and how they're available to everybody.
Yeah, most of the time it's something that every student has a one card that gets you into a variety of different spaces on the campus. During the day, it's usually open to most of the students, but that's because there are classes. So around 5 o'clock is when everything shuts down, and your one card as a music student gets you into those music spaces. As a dance student gets you into those dance studios. Most of the time you should be doing some sort of scheduling to make sure that the studio space is not being used for something else, no matter what your arts area is. So that way you can have that kind of reserved time uninterrupted. So for recording projects, that happens a lot in the School of Music, being able to actually schedule one of our performance spaces for your recording project and make sure that you have it on the calendar. If somebody tries to argue with you, you've got it booked. So there's certainly that opportunity, and it depends on how personal. Like Monique said, definitely can't run a business out of it. But if it's something that you get approval for ahead of time, then it usually can be done, especially when there is so much that's being done in terms of student collaboration. Having your own projects that you're working with other students to put together, either for an open mic night or, like Project Love, being able to do some sort of fundraiser, or if that ends up ultimately being on a recital or some sort of performance that you're putting together. I don't know if there's anything different in the School of Film in terms of having those studio spaces, but
So
different kind of studio.
slightly different, not too different. So film has so we have studio spaces as far as sound stages, right? So there's 3 different sound stages for students to utilize. The tricky thing is that, like, when you're collaborating with other students, right, like, you're also in the hands of other students. So if you're doing a personal project with the school's equipment, you definitely have to get permission from the school, and there's a person that you would be in contact with, and you would contact that person to see if it's actually possible to do a personal project on campus. Because although students have the rights to their projects, the school works as a broker, I guess you can say, over those projects. So although the student has ownership, the school is kind of there to help protect the student, especially if you're thinking about submitting that particular project to a film festival or things of that nature. So anytime you're using the school's equipment, just keep in mind that you always have to get permission from the school, in a nutshell.
So Rachel, since you were just talking, there was a question about animation. Somebody said, can you talk about what we would dive into in animation?
So I can't go very deep into the animation program because that's not my area expertise. Animation is not my area expertise. But I know you do deal with a lot of different programming. There is you're doing a lot of sketching as well. So a lot of students love the whole sketching part, and then they don't like it, right? But you do have to do both as far as sketching and being able to do digital work as well. Animation is one of those programs whereas you immediately start into animation. So if you have an idea that you want to do animation your first year, by the time you get into your second year, you really diving into the field of animation versus another program. Give me another example. Cinematography. Although you're involved in cinematography your first year, you really dive heavily into cinematography more going into the last part of your second year, if that makes sense. So like you're taking your intro classes to everything your first year. So you take an intro to cinematography, directing, animation, all the good jazz your first year. And by the time you get into your second and third years, when you go more into the specifics of the concentration that you want to focus on. But animation and what's the other one?
Production design.
And what?
Production design.
Production design is one of the 2 concentrations that you immediately get involved in that program.
And that's probably another good example of if you put animation bulletin into the search engine, you can see every class you would take during the time you're in the animation program.
Yeah, that course bulletin is really helpful to look at, almost
word.
step by step what year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. There's going to be some alterations for each one of the areas. And, let's say a class is not exactly open that year for you, then being able to take it another year is an opportunity. But yeah, course bulletin is our version of our curriculum.
Right.
So, yep.
Bill, somebody asked about drama. They want you to go in depth about the skills we learn in the drama department. Are you ready?
Well, stop me from rambling too many more minutes. Let's see.
All right, yeah,
You
because
got
we've
2 minutes.
Yeah, two. Give you two.
All right, so the three components, acting, movement, and then voice and speech go together, but there are lots of different classes within each component. Stanislavski, Meisner, Uderhagen, other techniques. Alexander technique, I would think maybe under movement, but besides Alexander technique and dance classes and stage combat of armed and unarmed and improv and circus skills and juggling, and then you go to voice and speech with international phonetic alphabet and accents and dialects and singing class. And I talked about devised theater earlier, acting for the camera, mock auditions with guest artists that are coming to campus. We have guest artists in every one of our 5 conservatories all during the year. So, hey, send me an email or go to the course bulletin and I'll be happy to talk some more about it.
Here's a general high school question for people here, whoever wants to take this one. I'll combine these 2 questions into one. First, they ask if the admission for high school is the same as what we went through for this, showing the bachelor's admissions. And then they also asked, they made a comment that they want to do something here, but they want to finish at their current high school. Is there a way to do that?
Sure.
There is.
So I'll grab it. So in terms of the admissions process for the high school program, it does very closely fall in line to the admissions process for the college program. There may not be as many opportunities. So for example, design and production, unless you're applying for a visual arts program, which we did not go super deep into today, and the School of Filmmaking, those 2 options would not be available for our high school curriculum. But in terms of application due in the fall, an audition or interview needs to happen in the spring, that is still valid and still, falling in line with a college application process. So really dedicated high school students are applying to the program because it is almost a pre-introduction or it truly is an introduction into the college conservatory curriculum for these students. So definitely, making sure that you're meeting those deadlines and getting in recordings and, being able to come and do some sort of interview is key and crucial. Being responsible for your own applications at that point as well makes you a much more successful student here because it does end up being a boarding school if you're outside of a 25-mile radius of the campus. So you're responsible to get yourself up in the morning to go to those classes. Now, if you do kind of want to finish out your high school curriculum, with your current school, but would like to kind of get more involved in the arts, we do have some community programs. So if you're within the Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point area, or at least within an hour, if you want to dedicate that kind of time to either come towards Winston-Salem and participate in those, we have an acting out program. We have a large community music school at this point. So there are a variety of different classes you can participate in there. And then we have various summer programs as well. Those summer programs really are an introduction and an intensive to be able to experience what it would be like on the campus, getting to use the equipment and the studio spaces, living in the dorms for at least anywhere from a week to, it could be 5 or 6 weeks, depending on the program that you choose to apply for. So there's those opportunities. Sometimes during the school year, we also offer different area days to kind of come in, experience some master classes, or open classes sometimes. This year, maybe not so much, but in the future, we hope to be able to open it up a little bit. So.
And what are the ages for the summer programs?
I'll take it.
Depends on the group, but usually about, the earliest is usually about 13 or maybe younger than that.
7th or 8th grade, if it's not changed, but dance and music started around 7th or 8th grade, and I think visual arts was like age 14, drama and film age 15, rising 10th grade. But they've got, go to the summer session part of the website in case anything has changed.
Yep. Yep,
So
middle
there's
high.
one other question. Yep, we've got less than 3 minutes left. If you have a question, put it in the chat. We could try and do it. But there's one other question that I'm just sort of having trouble understanding. It's what are the quote unquote activities, quote unquote you can do in filming, quote unquote making music, and etc. So to that person, I think what you should do is look at that slide, figure out if you want to be talking to somebody in the film school, the music school, design and production school, the drama school, dance school, see who it is that you think you want to talk to, and email that person, please. Because I suspect that if you were emailing me, I would ask a couple of questions to sort of dig deeper into what it is that you're looking to find out, so I can make sure to answer it well. Unless one of our counselors, thinks that they do fully understand the question.
It looks like it's coming, first of all, with film.
It looks like a film question. So maybe one of us will reach out to you also after this, just sort of touch base. But I don't see any other questions. I see we've got like a minute and a half. So I guess it's any closing thoughts that any of us have, or quickly get your question in.
We can always end with a song, you know.
We could.
We didn't rehearse it though, I think.
Yeah, the fight song. I'm sorry, we forgot to
Go
rehearse.
Pickles. Up.
Yep.
That's
There
our last
it
one.
is.
Yeah, there's our pickle.
All
Yes,
right.
Pete.
Well,
We want to see you here, guys.
Yeah.
So,
come join the group.
We're a lot of
Right.
fun.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We're completely undefeated in our non-existent sports program after 55 years.
There you go. Lovely presenting to you all today. Good questions. And you saw our email address, so please reach out to any one of us. We'd love to talk to you some more, okay?
Yeah, and come join us on some additional virtual sessions to get, like we mentioned earlier, get that
Preview
deeper
day.
dive. Yeah, preview week is coming up, and if you start getting emails from us, then you will get an invitation. So certainly be on the lookout for that. We do conservatory information sessions to be able to talk more exclusively about some of the curriculum that is in each one of the programs, as well as portfolio requirements and audition requirements for each one. So, all right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you all for joining us, and to the counselors today. Apparently there was a change in password that I've been trying to get in for a while, so I apologize for being late.
That's
But
okay.
thank you for going ahead and getting it started. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for participating today. As soon as this session ends, you will be getting a quick survey, just 4 questions. Please take a moment to give us your feedback. We want to encourage you to sign up for more sessions through the CACRAO Association, and you can do so by going to www.cacrao, that's CACRAO.org. And there'll also be the recording available of this session at that same location, CACRAO.org. So thank you all. Great presentation, and have a great evening, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.